it's not going to work, okay? What always makes me wonder, where am I standing on a block someone? There we are. Is no one has a problem with, not even on this map, it's so small. Around here somewhere is Easter Island, which is just a dot in this massive Pacific. That's okay. Blokes just in a raft. Blokes in a raft can float through and find that. That's no problem. Whereas this journey across the Atlantic is impossible. And this is a mantra, if you like, a diktat that was started around 1800 by someone called Powell. Nothing before Columbus, okay? Nothing. It's got to be Native American. And if you don't agree, you're a racist. That's the bad thing about it. It's stupid. The fact you throw all the Native American history out as well, that's got to go. And they're like, why don't we got records of this? I think, no. Nothing European is called independent development. Like exactly the same thing happens there as there, and it's just because that's the way it is, right? You pick the same kind of mounds, the same sort of coracles. There's no contact. Whereas the ironic thing is, in Britain, in Wales particularly, it's exactly the opposite. Absolutely nothing ever was invented independently. Nothing. Every single thing ever came from other people. Have you noticed this? It's a British thing. The Romans did it, or the Normans did it, or Saxons did it, or, this Hallstatt, or Lettere, all these fancy names, they're all absolute nonsense. And that's one of the things we talk about here. Well, the intellectual estates, what I'm doing with Wilson and Blackett, they're getting old, I'm helping take their work on and take it to the next bit and get the books available. And this is how we get around the censorship, we'll make them available. Anyway, so, this again is a matter of perspective, right? These are all projections. Martin's the expert on this. Martin's great on this. I actually asked him for some help on this bit. Because that's the Mercator projection. And there's our massive Atlantic. How on earth you can get from there to there? It's obviously possible, yeah? But then if you, and this isn't flat Earth particularly, right? It's changing projection. It just happens to be the same map as flat Earth uses. Oops, sorry, there has to be talking about Easter Island. Oh, I have slides for this. Good, isn't it? And that's another one, that's called the Peters projection, which you might be aware of. The idea there is to try and more accurately represent the size in different places. So the difficulty you get, if you are working from a globe or whatever shape, as you get to the tops, you have to stretch it out. If you've got a ball and you're flattening it out. So this is another projection. Just as much nonsense as the other one, really, but there you go. So your idea, it's a long way from Britain to America, okay? But then if you just take the same thing, and look at this one, just make it a bit small for you to see. This is a different projection. This is from the north, from above, as it were, with the North Pole in the centre, or very similar to the UN flag or the Flat Earth map, which suddenly it looks like that. So suddenly you think, hang on a second, that's not such a bad journey, sorry, does it? Can you see my little map? Oh, hang on a second. All right, there you are. Now, that's a bit better. You can see that there. Hang on a second.
It's never been the same since I sent in that Gleason's.
It's flat, isn't it? Wrong.
Well, this is a projection you see on a flat Earth map, usually something like this.
Yeah.
And yes, here's your North Pole. But it's also a global model as well, so I don't think it's a big difference either way. But so what you suddenly see though is, hang on a second, we're not going to go all the way across there. You can just hop. You've got the Faroe Islands, you can hardly see. Iceland, Greenland. Then you've got these places, Newfoundland. Suddenly it's an island hop, and this is a very, very easy journey, especially if you think it's an island nation that's been trading with the Mediterranean for thousands of years. Do you reckon there's another area I look at is quite a bit of American history, and one of the big stories, as Lee Pennington puts it, there's a big debate in Europe, saying in the Bronze Age, where did all the copper come from? And if you go to Minnesota in America, there's this big debate going on, where did all the copper go? So on the one hand, there's millions of tons of copper gone missing, the other one, there's millions of tons of copper and no one knows where it came from. Do you think maybe it's a miracle? Someone actually sailed across, this just seems bizarre, isn't it? Is it possible? You're not going to get me again, Mr. Speaker. So suddenly you change perspective, it's not so ridiculous at all. It's pretty clear, there's loads of contact. And if you look, there's other people, I know that a lot of people are familiar with Sinclair's, who was gone there in the 13th century. And when you find the book here, there's loads of references and descriptions of bisons in North America, which go way, way before Columbus, who never even got there anyway. Columbus only went to the West Indies. And one thing I want to mention, which only came up recently, a couple of weeks ago, is where did the name America come from? So if you watch my channel, you might say this, because I just, a druid told me this. I don't know why I didn't click. The official story, I've left the script complete now. Anyway, the official story is Americo Vespucci, some lesser, he's the third son in some Portuguese family who's got vaguely connected with